Hello, guys. See, we are back again with Adebimpe. And so the last video, if you haven't watched it after this, don't go now. After watching this, go back and watch the last video. And Adebimpe, can you introduce yourself once more?
Hi, my name is Adebimpe. I'm currently a master's student in United States, master's in public health to be
Mhm.
precise.
Yeah. In which university?
Western Illinois University.
Okay. Now today, Adebimpe will explain to us like a mini gist about the embassy experience, like the F-1 visa, because it could be nerve-wracking, when because you've invested so much, maybe you have to pay tuition fee before you even come around. So everything is on the line. So
Mm-hmm.
can you give us a little bit of gist on all your visa F-1 visa embassy
And my
experience?
visa.
Yeah.
Before I even start, I will give glory to God.
Yeah.
Anyway, like such
Hallelujah.
being speech after getting an award, I want to give glory to God. But I mean, no jokes. But I want to actually give glory to God because the process was kind of rough and smooth at the same time.
Mm,
But I mean, the where he gave me a lot of headache was getting a date. Actually, it
mm,
was a lot of hassle. Like I went through a lot,
mm,
So when after I got the old document ready, my I-20 and everything, when it was ready, I had to and I'd paid my visa fee. Then I went to the website, the CGIF federal website, to book an appointment. And I saw
mm.
there's currently no appointments.
Date
And I was
available.
wondering available at it's not even they did not even put or maybe it's available in 2024. I mean, I hope say they I saw
Indefinitely. There's no, yeah.
that was what was going on. Then I was wondering what's going on. I'd paid $160. I've done this, I've done that. And I was wondering, I don't know what's going on. So I called the embassy out of curiosity and
Mm,
everything. I called the embassy and I called them. I was like, this is it. I've paid, and they told me, okay, I should keep checking. There's nothing that they're not sure if there will even be any dates. Getting
yeah.
such negative news and
Mm,
not so good news from. I was like, okay, what's going on? Then out of curiosity again,
mm,
I decided to go with my two legs to the embassy because I mean I don't want to give any chance. I don't want to just sit down and say, "Oh, they said there's no date." At the
yeah.
same time, don't forget, I was checking every time. So I actually learned you can check 12 times a day. I
Mm,
don't know how true that is, but I knew I was checking
mm,
morning, noon, and night. I
mm,
was checking and checking and checking.
mm,
But eventually, when I went to the embassy, they didn't allow me in. I didn't know. I thought as someone they could just allow me and I would
mm,
see one of their bosses or something. But when the security guard that attended, I was like, it's been a while they had an interview. I was like,
yeah.
okay. So what's going to say because of COVID. I was like,
Mm.
COVID 2020,
Ended since when?
twenty-two now.
Oh, yes, yeah.
This is 2022 April. So what's going on? I was like, what's going on with you? She said, okay. And I asked the guy that, oh, when do you think you might likely have a date? And he
Yeah.
said, okay, maybe next week, maybe this week. So he
Mm,
gave me hopes, actually.
mhm.
Because all the small people that work in the places, they're the ones that really have the inside
Information. Yeah.
information. So
Mm,
I was okay. So I left and I went back home. On getting back home, I was even just going to narrate the story to the person I was living with, my
yeah.
roommate at the time. And as I was narrating the story, I just logged in and I saw date was
Date.
available
Wow.
that
And
same
you
day.
jumped at it.
I jumped at it and I picked the date. I felt like, okay, I will be ready for this interview. At that
Yeah.
time, I was just doing mini preparation. Then I knew that, I had to take this serious. I
Yeah.
have to, start mock interview. I wrote like a transcript of what are the likely questions and I answered those questions myself. I
Mm,
just wrote my story. Then at the time, I continued my DS-160 form,
yeah.
ensure that my stories, they relate well and all that. So the interview day itself, that was May 20th, if I'm right. Yes, May 20th
Yeah.
last year. So when I got there, it was not crowded like
Yeah. Yeah.
do you know the way I pictured it? Because I followed a lot of Nigerian interview groups, and so I
Okay.
pictured the way they said, the way their interview. Place I was expecting
Yeah. People.
something.
Yeah.
It
People
was a very
narrated their experiences.
experiences, yeah. So it was a very cool one. I didn't really have to go through it. Like when I got there, the security, everybody was on a queue, on a
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
We got there, we sat down. So on getting there, they took my documents. So apparently, the person that's going to interview me would have received my documents before I even
Oh,
get to
yeah.
the
Sure.
person. So I was not going to get there and give the person
Mm,
when I did mine. So when I got there,
You were so nervous, right?
I was never, and one of the things that actually increased the anxiety and everything was because, to be honest with you, the way they picture the whole thing, especially when you read transcripts or interview transcripts
Mm,
from Nigeria,
mm.
it's really scary. I understand that it's a lot in Nigeria.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
many of these views deny people. I hear of the is it the bald man, the Korean, view. I've read a lot. Then sometimes when I read the Indian people interview, I join their group as well.
Okay.
So easy.
Mm-hmm.
It relaxes
So it
me a
kind
bit.
of varies from country to country.
Country to
How it is.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I was having that mixed feeling.
Feeling. Yeah.
Okay, then at the same time, I was trusting God. So when I got there were
Mm-hmm.
about two people that were doing the interview at the time, two ladies. So they directed me. The person that called me was, I think she's an Asian, maybe Chinese lady or so. And then,
Okay.
like I said, my documents were already in front of her.
They
My
have everything.
passport,
Yeah.
my I-20, everything was there. So the only documents I had were my statement of accounts, my
The
sponsor
supporting documents.
document that I
Mm,
took with me. So when I got there, the first question she asked me, I greeted, of course,
mm.
courtesy, I greeted.
Common Niger.
I greeted, and in fact, honestly, I didn't know I was speaking to the wrong mic. So she just tell me, "You're using the wrong place." I'm
Anxiety.
sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I was not speaking directly to the
Mm.
mic. So then she said, "Don't mind you. There were still COVID rules, so you have to speak
Oh yeah. Through the
mask on,
max. Yeah.
mask on. So then that means you have to speak louder.
Louder. Yeah.
It has to be loud and clear." So then she asked me, "Where am I going to, and what am I going there to do?" Then I said, "Oh, I'm going
That's
to."
the first question, right?
That was the first question,
Mm.
and I said I was going to Western Illinois University for
Mm.
my master's in public health.
Mm.
And the next question she asked is, when did I graduate and what have I been doing since I graduated?
Yeah.
So my interview was May. I graduated February, so that's like 3
Mhm. In the interval, they want to check that
months
gap.
gap.
Gap
What have
year.
you?
Yeah, that's what they want
Mhm.
to know. Yeah.
So for me, I heard stories of people that didn't write that they were doing anything, but I just didn't
Mm.
want to leave that
Gap there. Mm.
gap there.
Mm.
So I wrote that I was working with a doctor. Actually,
Okay.
my last clinical practice, I was working with a particular doctor. So
Mm-hmm.
I was working in a clinic in a COVID center. That was where we
Okay.
were working at the
Mm.
time. So then I met with the doctor and I explained to her that, okay, this. So she gave me a recommendation letter. So I
Okay.
worked with her till like February. So I've been working there since September, I think.
Mm.
So at the time that I went for the interview,
Okay.
actually,
Mm.
just not to leave that space. So
That's
still,
it.
I've not
Yeah.
been idle and everything. So I thought I graduated these, and I'm currently I studied. Okay, she asked me what I studied.
Mm-hmm.
What have I been doing? So I saw that what I
First
studied.
degree.
So I saw that I studied bachelor's in nursing, and I graduated in February.
Yeah.
And then she said, "What have I been doing since I graduated?" And I said, "I've been working as an intern nurse assistant at
Yeah.
social hospital." Like
Mm-hmm.
I said, you're practically selling yourself, and you must sell yourself
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most times US they don't really verify these things. But
They
not
don't.
you should
Yeah.
not lie something just out of the blue,
Something
something
obvious.
unrealistic.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
something relatable and
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Mm.
really don't verify these things. So
Mm.
that's why you can't just slack me. I can't say I'm a fashion designer when you're going to master's in public health, or I'm a hairdressing or something, or
Yeah.
you
It
have to say
has to be
something
related to what you're
that
doing. Yeah.
sell exactly that will sell. Yeah, this time my heart was doing big, 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 big. But I was just trying, and I was shouting. In fact,
Mm.
I knew I was shouting. In fact,
They
thank God
must hear you by force.
shouting just for her to hear what I say. So I told her
Mm.
my duties. And so when I was telling her what I was currently doing, I
Mm.
added my roles. I would
Okay.
advise you. People say don't talk too much. Of course, make it,
Kind of
clear.
relatable to the question, even if
Relatable,
you're not
yes, don't
lectureship. Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
So as I told her that I was a nurse, intern nurse, I was telling her my duties, that I administer medication, all those
Yeah.
things like that. I told her my duties. So you can tell her you can tell whoever is interviewing your
Mm.
roles, so that
Mm.
to make you sell yourself basically very well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then the next is okay, oh good. So checking through the screen, she now said, "Oh, I can see that you have worked in a public health before going to college."
Yeah. Yeah. You've
So
written all those things in
in my
your
DS-160,
application. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
You know
So
what you're doing.
before I went for my undergrad, I worked with like 4 to 5 NGOs. I worked with
Okay.
them, some for a long time, some for a short time. So I
Okay.
think I feel about just two of the NGOs I worked with,
Mm-hmm.
and most of them were all these um, awareness, going to secondary schools, creating awareness, or going to marketplaces to create
Yeah.
awareness with women and
Mm.
all that, providing some of these medical supplements and everything to them, doing or checking their vitals and everything. We're doing there at that time.
Yeah.
So I
Other
put
time.
everything there. So
Mm-hmm.
she said, "I can see that you have done something related to
At
public
that
health.
time, when you were doing all those stuff, you didn't know that it's going to be valuable and
No,
you need
no,
it.
no, no, no. I didn't know that I was going
No,
to.
no, no effort goes to waste in this life,
They always
honestly.
say something, put in everything. Even if you work at during your, I know in Nigeria they do something like IT. Put
Yeah,
in your IT, NYSC,
everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tell them
Sell
that you're
yourself
working.
properly. Yeah.
Sell yourself well.
Mm,
Honestly, that's the whole thing. Sell yourself well. You are
mm.
trying to show them that you're a responsible person. You are going to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
country. You are and you are going to do well.
Mm.
Of course, the intention at the end of these those things is that you go back to your country, but
The
we all
reality is,
know.
these guys, they know what we are doing. They know
Oh,
exactly
no.
what.
But the most important, you can't just go there and just say anything.
Yeah, you can just turn up. Yeah.
So after that, she said, and I said, oh yes, I worked with a couple of organizations, blah blah blah. She said, okay. Then she said, who is paying for my studies? Then I
Mm.
said, my sponsor. But before I mentioned my sponsor, you know, I learned that if you have funding, any
Yeah.
fund whatsoever, scholarship, GA, TA, whatever it is, first
Mention it. Mm-hmm.
mention it, then you now say, okay. So I told her that I was awarded a scholarship because of my academic performance
Performance.
and
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
in my undergrad. So I'm selling myself.
Of
And
course.
just like she nodded like okay,
Package. PR.
packaging. Just like oh yeah, that's good. And I was like okay, my uncle will be sponsoring me. So then I stated what my uncle
He's
is
doing.
going
Yeah.
through and everything. And then she asked me, do I have his statement account?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I was not expecting that you were going to ask me that, but that's why it's good to have
To
those
have everything. Yeah.
supporting documents with you.
Mm.
In fact, I wouldn't call a bank statement of your sponsor bank statement a supporting is one of
It's
the
very
essential
vital. Yeah. Yeah.
vital thing that you
Yeah.
need.
Mm-hmm.
Then I gave her. So she looked through, was a 6 month statement. She looked through,
Okay.
she checked and everything, and then she saw the amount. But for her, I think what she didn't see the what's it called?
The final balance.
The final balance, yes.
Mm.
Then
Closing
and
balance.
so and I had to tell her this is where
This
it is.
is
Then she went online, used Google, used calculator, then calculated, did the exchange
yeah.
thing and everything. They said, "Oh, that's a good one." And I
It's
said,
very important to be living the moment with the consular because if you're
"Yes,
just there looking, just be
looking."
looking at him like what is it looking for? So you
When
can
she
point
saw
at
it, she
it.
told me that this amount
Yeah.
will not be enough for your
Mm.
studies. I said, "No, that
This
this is
is
the
it.
final."
Look at it.
That this is what she checked you. She now said, "Okay." Then she asked me, "What's my parents? What are my parents doing? What do they
Yeah.
do?" I told her my parents are actually retired, but to be
Okay.
safe, I didn't mention
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
retired.
yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, my parents are retired, but I told them that my parents are educationists. My dad is
Mm.
a, I had to just say my
Hype them up.
hype them up because the only information you feel about your parents on your DS-160 is
Mm.
just their name and their date
Okay.
of birth.
Okay.
You don't feel their occupation.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't, so
So
they
they,
really do
they
not
don't
have
have
any
anything to fall
information.
back to check. Yeah.
Exactly, they really do not have any information about.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I think they asked me if I have anybody. They asked if any of my family members are in the US. Please, I
Mm.
beg you in the name of the Almighty.
Tell them, tell them.
I beg you, don't make any
Don't
mistake
say it.
to
Mm.
say that
Mm.
you are your parents or you or your
Yeah.
cousin, your daddy's auntie, late cousin. In fact, whatever the relationship you have, two of my cousins are here. We bear the same surname. I mentioned I don't know. They were helping me through this process and everything. They
Yeah,
were the ones
yeah.
that even helped with most of some of the
Mm.
things. I did. But I didn't mention that I know anybody there. I had to say no
Mm.
because to be safe, right, really. Of recent, there's someone that reached out to me that I was helping with this whole processing and
Mm.
just to help somebody out there. They
Yeah.
applied for visiting or visitors visa.
Yeah, B1, B2.
Yeah, so I think she forgot that at the time they submitted the information. So when she was filling her DS-160, she wrote that she doesn't know anybody.
Anybody. Okay.
But when it got to have you applied before, she said yes. You see, you are contradicting yourself.
Contradicting,
So
yeah.
when you applied, how do you apply? Through what did you apply?
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
have all these records in there. So if you have applied before, don't lie. If you
Yeah,
have it in your
yeah,
record,
yeah.
I would advise don't lie. But if you have nobody has ever filed for you, you have never used anybody in the US, it's not in
You are
their
free. Yeah.
you are absolutely
Clean
free.
slate. Yeah.
They don't need to know if your sister is here because at the end they will not ask which states. How did the person enter into the country?
Yeah, and they will use the guy's track record to judge you as well, you know.
So I told them, oh no, no, they're all in Nigeria and everything. So the next question was, what's my plan after my studies?
Graduation, yeah.
Of course. Let your number one plan. I beg you. Let your number one plan be that you are going back to your country, whatever country you
Yeah.
are from.
Mm.
Let it be that you are going back,
Mm.
and let them know what you are going back to
To
do.
do.
Don't just say I'm going back to stop and keep quiet.
Obviously, they won't believe you.
They won't believe you. So
Mm-hmm.
tell them, with the skill and the knowledge I've acquired, I'm going
Mm.
to implement implement it. My desire is to work with, or I will be working with the federal
Yeah, you
Ministry
can be
of Health.
specific on where
Be
you want to
specific
work.
on your
Yeah,
goals and how
yeah,
these things you have acquired will help your country.
yeah, exactly.
So for me, interestingly, I mentioned I'll be working with Federal Ministry of Health.
Okay.
And the next question she asked me is, how do you know that you already have a job? I've never seen that question anywhere.
Wow.
Checking my interview, I was like, okay, okay. Throughout my practice, I didn't rehearse anything like this, but wherever this question is coming from, Holy Ghost fire. I was just like, then actually my big sister, my older
Mm,
sister,
mm,
is has a master's in public health and she worked in health, Ministry of Health as well. So then I was like, okay, my elder sister, who is my mentor,
yeah.
works in the Federal Ministry of Health, and then she has already assured me and
Mm.
provided. I just had to sell myself.
Actually, you
So
were prepared. You were kind
I
of
was
prepared. You were prepared mentally as well, because you can be thrown off by such question. If you
question.
memorize, that's the end of the road.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
the end.
because you were
So
ready.
just make sure that you are saying something that is like, for instance, now I was mentioning about somebody that they asked if she has anybody. She went and denied that. Oh, she doesn't have anybody. She doesn't
Mm.
know anybody there. Don't say it. Once they say something that is contrary, just say, oh yes, probably you forgot or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
Be
don't
calm.
try to be
Exactly.
calm.
Don't go defensive. No, 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 no.
No, 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 I don't know
Exactly.
anybody. Just be calm. Just be calm and ensure that. So yeah, that was how the whole thing played out. After I said it, she said, "Oh, okay, that's good. Everything looks good." And
And that message popped up. That's that final
uh,
word.
you get your visa within 2 weeks. I'm like,
Oh my God.
"Oh,
Finally.
finally. I mean, that was my experience. When you get there, you will feel that burning, like it's like the whole world wants to fall on you. But once
Yeah.
you get that good news,
Yeah, there'll be
that
like
word,
the weight is lifted off your shoulder.
it was
Honestly.
such a very mixed feeling experience. Like I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
it was a mixed feeling experience. But
And
the
you walking out of the embassy, be like, finally, this am
finally, I was
actually I'm
just
going to the US.
dancing and screaming. Everybody, the security guys, everybody was just. And when I say I was the first person they approved a visa that day, everybody other person, so it was discouraging. But don't be
Mhm.
discouraged. So if in
Yeah.
case you get to your interview center and then they are
There's
denying,
nine people. I have similar experience in that same embassy as well. Like they literally were
wow,
denying more than 20 to 30 something people right in front of me. Like before it
thing,
got to me, it was so nerve-wracking. But I was like, okay, I've been to the US before, like on occasion, so I'm just here to renew. So it was just under 1 minute, I just got it. It was so easy. Yeah,
wow,
but it could be very. You're right. Like, don't look at other people to judge,
mm-hmm,
because it will affect
mm-hmm,
you mentally. Like, you may even
exactly,
forget everything
yes,
you've learned.
that's true,
So just be focused. Don't listen to people too much. Just be narrow-minded. Like, I'm going to get it. Stay positive.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
so that's such an amazing journey and story as
Very,
well. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mhm.
Guys, see, if you have any question, that I'll put her Instagram on or put it in the comment section. She will be right on it. She's going to reply
Yes,
every single
mhm.
questions. Adebimpe, thank you so much for coming, honestly. And hopefully very soon again we are going to bring
Yes,
you on again. It depends on our viewers. If they want you, of course they want you. If questions are too much, you have to come back again.
come back.
So you are free. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to click the like button, subscribe if
Mhm.
you're new, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.
Bye.